Roll call, legislative day number 24, February 14th, 2025. Anderson?
Here.
Barlow?
Present.
Boner?
Here.
Brennan?
Here.
Case?
Present.
Cooper?
Here.
Grego?
Here.
Crum?
Here.
Dockstetter?
Here.
Driscoll?
Here.
French?
Here.
Guru?
Here.
Hicks?
Here.
Hutchings? Ide?
Here.
Jones?
Here.
Cole?
Present.
Landon?
Here.
Larson?
Here.
McEwen?
Excused.
Excused. Nethercott?
Here.
Olson?
Here.
Pappas?
Here.
Pearson? Rothfuss?
Here.
Salazar?
Here.
Schuler? Scott?
Here.
Smith? Steinmetz? President Beitman?
Here.
Mr. President, 30 present, 1 excused.
Thank you, Ellen. Reverend Christian Basil from the St. Mark's Episcopal Church will lead us in the prayer.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, you have taught us that we love because you loved us first. Your love is steadfast and unchanging, a love that calls us to something greater than ourselves. On this day, when love is celebrated, remind us that true love is not only sentiment, but action, compassion in motion, mercy extended, and justice pursued. Without love, our relationships suffer, our faith weakens, and our purpose is lost. So shape our hearts, O Lord, that love may be the foundation of all we do. Help us to love unconditionally as you have loved us, to see others not as rivals or strangers, but as neighbors and fellow travelers in the world. Cleanse our hearts of bitterness, resentment, or division, and replace them with a spirit of grace, patience, and understanding. May the work of this assembly be guided by love, and may their work honor the truth that you call to us. Let your love shape their service to the people of this state. May it be the mark by which we are known, not those things that we achieve for ourselves, but by how we lift up those we care for, how we listen to one another, and how we strive to build a more just and compassionate world. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Senator Jones, will you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see here. Well, today is the last day we have the Reverend with us, and I would like to give him, I know, it's been a good week having the Reverend with us. And Reverend, anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome. We really appreciated your words to us this week, and I think we can owe our good week that we had to you, my friend. So here's a token of our appreciation. Reading, correction, and approval of journal.
Mr. President, your Journal Committee reports that the Journal of February 13, 2025 has been read and recommends that it be approved. Senator Crum, Chairman.
You've heard are there any objections? Of course not. There being none, the report is adopted. Good job, Chairman Crum. All right, we don't have a doctor of the day. Today in history, in 1820, Susan B. Anthony was born. Quote for the day, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. That was Warren Buffett. Today is Valentine's Day, and the dad joke of the day, courtesy of a submission from a good lobbyist out in the hall. It's handy. We got lots of material now, guys, so we're not running out. Did you hear about the spiders that got engaged? They met on the web. Happy Valentine's Day. Okay. This morning, it is with great pride, and we welcome Becky Fournier, the head cross-country coach at East High School, and honor Maggie Madsen, yes, that Madsen, a sophomore at Cheyenne East High School. Maggie was awarded the prestigious Wyoming Gatorade Player of the Year for cross-country. She had an outstanding season, winning the Wyoming 4A State Cross Country Championship by 23 seconds. Maggie remained undefeated against any runner from Wyoming and ran the fastest 5K time of the year by a Wyoming athlete. Maggie's excellence extends beyond athletics. She ranks third in her class of 364 students and is passionate about math. She is the daughter of Wendy and Mark Madsen. Wendy is currently the longest-serving Legislative Service Office staffer, recently celebrating 30 years of service with the Wyoming Legislature. Senators, please join me in welcoming Coach Fournier and Maggie to the Senate.
Mr. President, Wyoming State Senators, thank you for this opportunity to celebrate Maggie today. It's an incredible honor. Thank you for that applause, too. That was a lot. I also want to thank the administrators at East High School and, of course, my fellow coaches in cross-country, indoor, and outdoor track who support Maggie and me in so many ways. I also want to thank the Gatorade Player of the Year Selection Committee for recognizing Maggie's successes in athletics, academics, and in her community. And I want to thank Maggie's family, who's up in the balcony, for their love and commitment to our entire cross-country program. I like to tell people that the two pillars of our cross-country program are grit and gratitude. For me, grit is the intentional practice of welcoming challenges, embracing hard work, and pushing into the fear of the unknown. Maggie chooses to do these things every single day in all areas of her life, not just to win at sports, but to strive to be the best version of herself and maximize her talents. She works incredibly hard at practice, always executing to the best of her ability. She's always trying to improve as a runner and a person, and is willing to continuously push herself and her teammates to do things they didn't know they could accomplish. That work ethic has led to incredible gains in her performance and her confidence over the last year. Not only did she win the 4A State Cross Country Championship this fall, she went on to finish 7th and earn all-region honors at the Nike Northwest Regional Championships, competing against the best runners in Oregon, Washington, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Hawaii, and Alaska. Last year, as a freshman, she was the indoor state track champion in 3 different events, and she finished 2nd in 2 at the outdoor state championships. And already this indoor track season, Maggie leads the state in 3 different distance events, has set school records in the 1,600 and 3,200 meter runs, and ranks in the top 25 in the nation in both of those events. Her grit also serves her well in the classroom. She carries a 4.11 weighted GPA and takes honors in AP classes. Whenever I arrive at practice, Maggie often has all of her schoolwork spread out all around her, and she's putting finishing touches on assignments or taking online quizzes. She uses all of the time available to her to make sure she's excelling in school, and she often verbalizes that her academic performance is the biggest priority in her life. Her math teacher, Mr. Josh Anderson, said it best in his letter of recommendation for Gatorade Player of the Year when he said, quote, "No student puts in more effort to everything than Maggie." And then we get to the gratitude part, the quality of being thankful and the readiness to return kindness. On the start line of every race, I ask our athletes what they're thankful for, and Maggie's answers always vary. She shows gratitude for her coaches, her teammates, her friends, and her family, for her opportunities, for her abilities, and sometimes just for nice weather or a good night's sleep. Even more importantly, she spreads kindness through her community. She serves on the City of Cheyenne Mayor's Youth Council, actively participating in and learning about the local government. She's a junior coach for the Cheyenne Girls on the Run program, empowering young girls to recognize their inner strength and confidence through physical activity. Maggie's also participated in Cheyenne Greenway cleanups and has partnered with Needs Incorporated, the local food bank, to raise sponsorship money for their fundraiser 5K. She also has volunteered her time with the Cheyenne Youth Day of Giving, the Cheyenne Botanic Gardens, the Capital City Track Series, and Friday Food Bags. As you can see, Maggie is an extraordinary young woman. She is so deserving of the recognition that she has received. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce her to all of you. And now I'm going to let her say a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, Maggie Madsen.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. Mr. President and members of the Senate, I want to start by thanking you all for your service to the state of Wyoming. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be recognized here today. I'm so thankful for my coaches, Becky Fournier, and all my other coaches who have supported my athletic performance and my academic achievements throughout my junior high and high school career. Running takes a lot of perseverance and dedication, and I don't think I would be able to achieve my goals if I didn't have everyone I have pushing me along every step of the way. So I'm so thankful for you all, and I'm thankful to my teammates for all their support that they have given me, to my family for always showing up and cheering me on, and to my teachers who support me both academically and in my athletic pursuits. And I also want to give recognition to one program that has given me a lot of confidence and helped me achieve my running goals, which was Girls on the Run. This program not only empowers young girls to achieve their goals athletically, but also empowers them both mentally and physically by building up confidence in them and also encouraging them to support their teammates. And yeah, Girls on the Run has just been had a big impact on my running, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you all.
Well, Maggie, on behalf of the Wyoming Senate and the people of Wyoming, we are so proud of you. A sophomore. You haven't even hit your prime yet, girl. I can't wait to see what you're going to do. Congratulations. This is for you. Keep up the good work academically and on the cross-country track. And we'll look forward to keeping tabs on you and seeing how you do. Thank you. And thanks, Coach. Madam Majority Floor Leader,
Mr. President, thank you. Privilege of the floor.
floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want it noted that Maggie is my constituent. She is from Senate District 4, and I get to see her run almost daily throughout the neighborhood. And as she inspires me, I like to think I give her motivation for how many times she can lap me around the neighborhood as I walk the dogs. But both she and her sister and family are a true inspiration, and I'm proud to represent them. Good senators, we also have joining us a true honor with us here today, and that is Foy Jolly, who's sitting up front here. And if we could give him a moment at the mic to invite him forward to give us a brief history on his incredible career here in Wyoming, his dedication to public service, his continuation of that as the chairman of the High Plains Honor Flight, to recognize that we are truly honored to be here with him. But as he makes his way up, and I'd like to truly embarrass him by acknowledging he is another February birthday. He will be turning 85 on Sunday. And so if we could sing him happy birthday right now, as he prepares to tell us about his story.
All right, fire it up, chorus.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm happy to return to the Senate chambers where I served 9 years on the staff. After serving 20 years and 4 months as a Capitol Police Officer, State of Wyoming, Hersler, Sullivan, and Geringer administration, I counted more than 30 sessions that I served in the capacity of security officer, overlooking the security of the building, the legislators, the public. I had one ear on what was happening in the chambers on the House and the Senate side, and the other paying attention to the security of all. I'm pleased to look around the chamber and see increased security measures, the cameras that you have here to protect you as you do the state's work. May I have all the senators that served during the time that I was on Senate staff, please stand and be recognized. We've got one over there that hasn't stood. Thank you. I took the time to do some work last night looking at the current roster of people on both sides. I'm pleased to see that there are now 8 women among you. I'm proud to be back here to say hello to my old friends. And for those of you who are new and don't know, we lost a wonderful lady by the name of Liv Haynes. Senator Haynes' wife passed away in Westminster, Colorado, January 31st. Her services was at Schrader's Funeral Home on Saturday morning. The former clerk supervisor was there and some others that remember her. Senator Case was there, and she was an outstanding lady. She migrated to this country at the age of 16. She graduated from Central High School, and then she got involved in state government in 1977 when I came on board as a Capitol Police Officer. She served until 2000. Like so many others, as we get older, we find that the body is deteriorating, and mine certainly no example. A lot of things are going on. I might look good, but this old body is ravaged. But I'm pleased to know that people are doing the good work of the government of the state of Wyoming, and for those who have served long time, like Senator Case, Senator Scott, and Senator Driscoll, and our good friend over here. We don't have a lot of Democrats in the body, but he's still here, thank God, and doing a wonderful job. And I don't know much about the Freedom Caucus they talk about today. I don't understand the difference between them and the regular Republicans. But I was an alternate delegate to the National Convention in New York when we renominated Bush II for his second term. And I acquired a lot of friends on that trip. And I see the Sergeant of Arms is still here. He was here when I was working here. And for those of you who don't know, he flew C-135 cargo aircraft and tankers. He's looking good still, but at any rate, I represent Honor Flight. It's an extension of Northern Colorado Honor Flight, and we send combat veterans back to Washington, D.C. to see their monuments. All expenses trip on a Sunday morning going out of Loveland, Colorado, and back on late Monday night. 120 bodies on board that are veterans, both male and female, World War II, Korea, Vietnam and the Vietnam era veterans and anyone with a Purple Heart. I had my flight the 9th and 10th of September of 2018, and I've been involved in this capacity ever since. It's important that we send our veterans back, especially the Vietnam veterans who did not get welcomed home, and I am one of them. I served in both Thailand and Vietnam, and I was exposed to Agent Orange in both countries. I'm paying the price for it now. So, for those of you who have served in the categories I've mentioned, that are veterans serving in the legislature, I extend an opportunity for you to go and see your flight as well. You will have on your desk a letter introducing me, it was passed out, and you should have a card like this. This is who I am. I'm a veterans advocate. The last 6 years of Senator Enzi's service in the U.S. Senate, he asked me to serve as his eyes and ears, to be his veterans advisor, and I did that. Specifically, what he wanted me to do was pay attention to what was happening at the VA, the base, and how the military, active duty and their families, reservists, veterans, National Guards men and women, and their families were doing. I was his ears. I had his contact information, and I fed to him information that would help him make things right in regards to how all veterans, regardless of where they've come from, were being received. Today in the Congress, we don't have a lot of military experience going on there, so a lot of the people don't understand what people in the military undergo when they serve. Not only do they serve, but their family serves well with them. And so that's my mission, to advocate for the veterans to take what they have received by serving honorably in the military, go to the VA, and get into the system. I personally take people up and get them enrolled in the system who have had a bad experience previously. The VA has changed dramatically in the last 5 years, and specifically when President Biden signed the PACT Act that takes care of the veterans that served in harm's way during the Gulf War, were exposed to the oil wells and the stuff that was spewing out of there. And now they're in bad shape. They're having health problems. And for those who served in Iraq and Afghanistan and were at the open burn pits, again, they suffered. And so now they are getting the care that they need. We have an outstanding VA system going on today. And I say that VA Cheyenne Hospital get the best of care. I'm not familiar with Sheridan. We have 2 hospitals, one in Sheridan, one in Cheyenne, but our congressional delegation absolutely have our back and always have. Senator Enzi and I went by to see many of the veterans while he was still serving, and I knew him for 34 years. A great man, a great legislator, a great citizen. And with that, I'm going to take leave of this and sit on the side and watch what's happening. I ran into Senator Lummis down in the rotunda. She was starting out over on the House side, along with her husband, Al Wiederspan. They eventually saw the need to come over to the Senate side. So everybody that's in Washington, D.C., including the senior senator who served 5 years here, know me personally because they served during the time I was on staff. So it's been a privilege to be able to come back and see new, vibrant faces, because that's what it's all about. We, the people in Washington, would get the hint. We need some term limits up there pretty bad. So keep on doing the good work, and you may hear from me from time to time if there's a bill that comes up that might strike my interest. Thank you. Godspeed.
Thank you, sir, for your service and all you do for our great state. Senator Driscoll.
Privilege of the floor. Before you leave, Mr. Foy, I have a bill that you might have been interested in. I never told you when we set you up to come here. Back in 2017, a representative named Tyler Lindholm and myself sponsored a bill that declares the month of August Agent Orange Month. I didn't know if you knew that, but that actually came from myself and Representative Lindholm. And we recognize what it's done to you folks and highly respect what you went through and pray for the best forward. Thank you.
Senator, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Honorable members, earlier this week I introduced some Team PAC members, and you were gracious enough to give them a nice welcome. We have today some of actually the administrators, those who, the adults who actually put it on. They had their graduation last night. I think it was an incredible experience for those young people. You know, I'll simply say this, I know that I'm not an extraordinary person, I know that, but those young people in Team PAC are. You know, when I was their age, I didn't know who the President of the United States was. I didn't know who sat on the Supreme Court. I never heard that there was a revolution in Persia when I was that age, but those young folks do. And I have no doubt that when we are all gone, they will be in our seats here. But if you wouldn't mind, could you give a Senate welcome to those who actually carry out Team PAC and really do all the coordinating over the months to make it happen? They're in the gallery here. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, and welcome to the Senate. All right, well, yes, sir, Senator Anderson.
Mr. President, privilege of the floor.
Floor is yours.
Mr. President, we did miss one thing. Could we have all the veterans in the Senate stand up and be recognized, please?
Yes, veterans, please stand. And staff. Vic. Thank you. It is with great honor and privilege to welcome back our U.S. Senator, Senator Cynthia Lummis, to the Wyoming Legislature. Prior to being elected to the United States Senate, she served 8 years in the U.S. Congress, 14 years in the legislature, and 8 years as the Wyoming State Treasurer. She is currently a member of the Environment and Public Works Committee, Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, and the Banking, Housing, and Urban Development Committee. Please help me in welcoming home United States Senator Cynthia Lummis.
Mr. President, may I have the privilege of the floor? Thank you, Mr. President. It's such an honor for me to come and get to visit with you. And thank you for allowing me to serve you and this state in the United States Senate. It's an absolute new day in Washington. It is so different from anything I've experienced yet. You know, as I've said repeatedly, Charlie Scott and I were freshmen here together in 1979. And the whole time I was in the legislature, I served with Democrat governors, Hirschler and Sullivan. And the whole time I've served in Congress have been with Democrat presidents, Obama and Biden. This is the first time in my entire life that I have served with a Republican chief executive while I was legislating. And there's absolutely no comparison. And I think part of it is this particular president in his second term is working with lightning speed to make major changes that are going to be so good for Wyoming. 300 executive orders. One that we're all proud of is to reverse the Rock Springs Resource Management Plan. and the Buffalo RMP, there is recognition by this president that we need all sources of energy, including hydrocarbons, to run this nation. Artificial intelligence is going to double the demand we have now for energy, and we don't have enough baseload energy to meet that need. Well, Wyoming does. We export about 12 times more energy than we consume. So my office is working with AI companies to encourage them to bring their computing needs here and use our energy to produce the computer capacity to make the United States #1 in AI and keep it that way. I want you to know that I've invited 3 of our new cabinet members to Wyoming. The Senate is, as they say, it's so different from the US House. The Senate is in the personnel business, and that's just about all we've done since January 20th. We have confirmed more cabinet members than have been confirmed by this time in recent memory. One of them that I've invited to Wyoming is EPA Director Lee Zeldin. Lee's only been to Wyoming once, and it was to Teton County. So he has yet to see the EPA's impacts on our state. And he's anxious to come and anxious to learn. I served in the US House with Lee Zeldin. He's a great guy, but he's from New York, and our issues are somewhat different than theirs. And he wants desperately to help us through challenging permitting issues and to understand just how clean we can do hydrocarbon energy, and no state can do it cleaner than we can. I've also invited Sean Duffy, another person with whom I served in the US House, who is our transportation secretary. As you know, the Highway Trust Fund is heading for insolvency in about 3 years. Part of that is driven by the fact that electric vehicles pay no fuel taxes, and so the funds are depleted because there are enough vehicles on the road that are not contributing to the safety of our highways because they pay no taxes. Only those of us who drive gasoline and diesel vehicles are contributing. So we're bringing Sean Duffy out as soon as his schedule will allow. That poor guy was sworn in as transportation secretary, and 4 hours later, the helicopter and the airplane collided over the Potomac. So he has been drinking out of a fire hose ever since, because it was followed up, as you know, by an air ambulance disaster in Pennsylvania and 10 lives lost in Alaska via air. So he's got his hands full now, but I hope to get him out this summer and help him understand the importance of the ribbon of highway that unites us in Wyoming. And the other person that I invited out is RFK Jr. RFK hunts in Sweetwater County, and he's hoping after a pretty grueling process that he has just completed to come out and do a little hunting in Sweetwater County. I asked if while he's here, he might consent to do a healthcare roundtable in Rock Springs. And he said absolutely. So unless the president has other plans for his time, we hope to get him this spring to Rock Springs. That is an opportunity to help him understand frontier and rural healthcare in a way that only frontier and rural areas can. I want you to know there's some fabulous opportunities that we're pursuing with regard to healthcare. I had put together this kitchen cabinet, and one of the members is Peter Huntsman from Utah. Peter, of course, is the Huntsman Foundation chair and is extremely interested in using artificial intelligence to improve outcomes in rural healthcare. So we're working to partner with him and make sure Wyoming is involved in helping meet their AI computer needs in a way that will additionally benefit the state of Wyoming and our rural healthcare needs. And he's very excited about it. In fact, I mentioned, well, we have great natural gas in places like Opal, Wyoming. He says, oh, I've been to Opal. So we have people who understand us here. We're in a new golden age in Washington. It's like nothing I've ever seen. I got to be at the White House when President Trump signed the executive order restricting women's sports to women. And it was just a celebration. There were over 100 women athletes behind the president on these bleachers. And after the president spoke, he asked the little kids to come around, the little girls, to surround him while he signed the executive order. And they just rushed him like a grandfather. And it was a happy day, a great day of celebration. And as you know, the very next day, the NCAA just said, okay. And thank goodness, girls will have the opportunity to compete on a level playing field with other girls. It's a difference I never got to enjoy because I was pre-Title IX. And so I see what these girls are getting to do, and it delights my heart. And it delights me that President Trump recognized the importance of that, and so many other things. He has declared an energy emergency in this country. We're going to have a great working relationship with the Department of the Interior. As you know, our relationship with the North Dakota governor who's taking the realm at Interior, Doug Burgum, is going to be fabulous. He has chosen Kathleen Sagama, who a lot of us know from Denver, to head the BLM. She understands multiple use. Part of our problem, of course, over the last 4 years is an opportunity to walk away from multiple use by the previous administration. This administration is going to embrace multiple use because it understands our geopolitical need to be energy dominant and to be able to export energy as a tool of geopolitical involvement and strength, as well as meet our own energy needs and have enough for AI and convert this nation into a very robust, strong economy that works for the American people. He is laser focused on America. One of the things that tickled me, I was standing next to Marco Rubio as he was being voted on for Secretary of State. We were standing in the cloakroom watching the numbers go up. He didn't want to stand on the floor and embarrass his colleagues if somebody chose to vote against him, which no one did. But you could see the sense of the awesome responsibility he was taking on. And you could just watch it fall on him. We expect a lot of these people, but they're just like us. And I was so proud of him. Just days after he was sworn in, he went to Panama. And we're paying $1 million a cargo ship to get our ships through the Panama Canal, and we gave that canal to them for $1. We gave it to them, and they're charging us $1 million a ship. And China is their managing partner. And Marco Rubio went down and said, this has got to change. It's a new day in America. It's not going to operate like this anymore. So our projection of strength, not bullying, just strength that the world needs to be stable. is occurring every day in Washington. And the American people are in charge again. And it's truly glorious. It's just been indescribably humbling to be there and see America back in charge and the people back in charge of America. I want to also tell you what Elon Musk is doing is incredibly important to America. He is ferreting out true waste, fraud, and abuse. And it's shocking to see the pushback that he's getting. He's auditing. He's finding where people were paid who shouldn't have been. Government benefits, our dollars going to people who shouldn't have had them. Over 100 million from a prisoner who was operating government benefits fraud from his jail cell. We're seeing AID that was spending millions of dollars on Sesame Street in Iraq and DEI in Sri Lanka and gender language training in Peru and things like that. I mean, they just went way, way, way off mission. And so now they're under Department of State. Marco Rubio can bring them back to the true mission to make sure that people who are suffering because they lack food, shelter, clothing, and medical care around the world can enjoy the benefits of America's goodwill and largesse and strong hearts. So it's a new day in America, and we're all a part of it. And Mr. President, I want to close with one thing, and thank you for the privilege of talking to you today. When I was in the Wyoming legislature, I learned to legislate. I learned to write legislation and amend legislation. Charlie can tell you this. He and I were freshmen together on the House Judiciary Committee. And our chair, Ellen Crowley, who was not a slip bigger than Senator Nethercott back there, she was a small but mighty lawyer, taught us how to legislate. We went through legislation page by page. We knew what was in those bills when they hit the floor of the House, and we could defend them. That never happens in Congress. So I was given the opportunity to chair a brand new subcommittee of the Banking Committee called the Digital Assets Subcommittee. And our new chairman, Tim Scott, has given me free rein to do it the way I want to do it. So the first bill we're marking up is a stablecoin bill. And we're going to sit down with that subcommittee, both parties, and we're going to walk through it page by page, just the way I learned to do in the Wyoming legislature. And when we go to the floor with that piece of legislation, there's no excuse for people not to understand it. There's no excuse for them not to have read it and had an opportunity to amend it and make it better. I learned that here. You know how to do that. This is a better legislative body than what we have in Washington. This is a shining example of what legislative bodies should be in America. This is the embodiment of the 10th Amendment. And I'm just so grateful I got to serve with you all here and learn that, and that I get to take what I learned here back to Washington and help them understand that the Wyoming legislature is doing the work that this nation and its founding fathers designed to be done. And that is why Wyoming is the greatest state in the United States. And Mr. President, thank you for the privilege of the floor. God bless your work.
Thank you, Senator Lummis, for your service to the great state of Wyoming. Welcome home. Senator Hutchings,
Privilege of the floor, Mr. President.
floor is yours.
Up above you in the gallery up there is former Representative Harlan Edmonds, and his wife Amy was there just a few minutes ago. I just wanted to give them a shout out. They're in my district now, and in about 2009, 2010, we were all taking a U.S. Constitution course, and somehow, some way, they convinced me to run for office, and Amy was my mentor, so I really appreciate her for that, and just want to give a shout out to Harlan. Thank you.
You're here. Welcome to the Senate. Any more privileges of the floor? Senator Grew? Okay, let's get to work.
Yeah.
Bills on second reading. Oh, wait. Introductions. I'm ahead of myself. I should probably look at my agenda. House bills on introduction, first reading. House Bill 83, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 83 engrossed, Child Custody Sex Offense Conviction Presumption, sponsored by Representative Pendergast. Passed the House. Ayes 61, excused 1.
House Bill 83 is assigned to Committee Number 1, Judiciary. House Bill 125, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 125, Repeal Unauthorized Use of Vehicle Crime, sponsored by Representative Washut. Passed the House. Ayes 60, excused 2.
House Bill 125 is assigned to Committee Number 1, Judiciary. House Bill 171, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 171, Sexual Exploitation of Children Amendment, sponsored by Representative Struck. Passed the House. Ayes 59, noes 1, excused 2.
House Bill 171 is assigned to Committee Number 1, Judiciary. House Bill 227, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 227 engrossed, Executive Order Time Limitations, sponsored by Representative Angelos. Passed the House. Ayes 60, excused 2.
House Bill 227 is assigned to Committee Number 1, Judiciary. House Joint Resolution 4, first reading of the joint resolution.
House Joint Resolution 4 engrossed, Constitutional Amendment Veterans Property Tax Exemption, sponsored by Representative Stivar. Passed the House. Ayes 58, noes 2, excused 1, conflict 1.
House Joint Resolution 4 is assigned to Committee Number 3, Revenue. House Bill 311, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 311, Exemption for Transported Fuel and Power Sales Amendment, sponsored by Representative Locke. Passed the House. Ayes 54, noes 4, excused 3.
House Bill 311 is assigned to Committee Number 3, Revenue. House Bill 275, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 275 engrossed, Treatment of Animals, sponsored by Representative Byron. Passed the House. Ayes 57, noes 3, excused 2.
House Bill 275 is assigned to Committee Number 6, Travel. House Bill 144, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 144 engrossed, County Canvassing Board, sponsored by Representative Nyman. Passed the House. Ayes 59, noes 1, excused 2.
House Bill 144 is assigned to Committee Number 7, Corporations. House Bill 176, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 176 engrossed, Vacancies in Public Office Amendment, sponsored by Representative Bratton. Passed the House. Ayes 55, noes 3, excused 4.
House Bill 176 is assigned to Committee Number 7, Corporations. House Bill 190, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 190 engrossed, Bond Election Language Process, sponsored by Representative Lean. Passed the House. Ayes 54, noes 5, excused 3.
House Bill 190 is assigned to Committee Number 7, Corporations. House Bill 192, first reading of the House bill.
House Bill 192 engrossed, Public Utilities Wildfire Mitigation and Liability Limits, sponsored by Representative Larson. Passed the House. Ayes 52, noes 8, excused 2.
House Bill 192 is assigned to Committee Number 7, Corporations. House Bill 218,
House Bill 218 engrossed public utilities stays during resolution of lawsuits, sponsored by Representative Locke. Passed the House, ayes 58, noes 2, excused 2.
House Bill 218 is assigned to Committee Number 7, Corporations. House Bill 318, first reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 318 engrossed maintenance of voter lists, sponsored by Representative Lucas. Passed the House, ayes 47, noes 13, excused 2.
House Bill 318 is assigned to Committee Number 7, Corporations. House Bill 132, first reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 132 engrossed annual permits for specified commercial loads, sponsored by Representative Smith. Passed the House, ayes 59, noes 1, excused 2.
House Bill 132 is assigned to Committee Number 8, Transportation. House Bill 242, first reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 242, manufacturers and dealers of new trailers changes, sponsored by Representative Tarver. Passed the House, ayes 60, excused 2.
House Bill 242 is assigned to Committee Number 8, Transportation. All right, now bills on second reading. House Bill 4, second reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 4, snowmobile registration and user fees.
House Bill 4, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 11, second reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 11 engrossed manufacturing, sales, and use tax exemption amendments.
House Bill 11, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 14, second reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 14, solid waste municipal cease and transfer funding.
House Bill 14, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 22, second reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 22, water and wastewater operator emergency response.
House Bill 22, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 28, second reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 28, commercial driver's license revisions.
There is an amendment. Would the reading clerk please read in the amendment?
House Bill 28, second reading amendment number 1, page 2, line 9, after.
Senator Pappas.
Mr. President, I believe this amendment was, it's not my amendment. Would you call on the,
Well, I'm looking at second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 28.
I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong bill. Excuse me. So, yes, this amendment basically is just a.
Can you move the amendment, sir?
Oh, yes, I move amendment number 1 to Standing Committee Amendment number 2.
Second reading
1, the
amendment.
second reading, House Bill 28, and ask for your favorable consideration. This is basically a correction, or not necessarily a correction, it was correct as it was, but a better way of structuring the statute brought to us by LSO. So if you look at it, all we're doing is deleting any one of the following, and then we're striking or. So in other words, if we ever add more sections to this section, we don't have to go back and keep removing or. So what we'll have now is just a list of things. So in the future, if we add more to this statute, you just add it and not have it, you don't have to get rid of that or again. So it basically just clean up language by our staff attorneys.
Question.
Discussion on the amendment. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor of Senator Pappas's motion to adopt second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 28, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has been adopted. Second reading amendment number 2. Will the reading clerk please read it in?
House Bill 28, second reading amendment number 2, page 1, line 14, after.
Senator Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move second reading amendment to House Bill 28 and ask for your favorable consideration. So in this amendment, I think it was page 2, line 9. So basically what I'm wanting to do is delete what I'm wanting to do is delete letter D to take that improper word out of there, so the rest of the line would remain in the current statute. And then also on page 3, letter M, line 16, I want to delete that entirely. So you guys have all heard my concerns with this wording yesterday. But honestly, I'm having issues with the bill because I feel like that we are attacking CDL drivers. So there may be a future amendment for third reading should we get this wording out, but I would ask for your favorable consideration on this amendment. Thank you.
Senator Pappas, for your first.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to push back on this amendment. This amendment, we're not attacking CDL drivers. We're trying to make our roads safe. Okay, so to the first part of the amendment that deletes page line 2, line 9, you're not deleting the entire, or you're not deleting just the word improper, you're deleting the entire line, is the way I read it. So you're now a serious traffic violation will not be able to, if there is improper erratic lane changes, that's not going to be there anymore. I don't think that's really responsible, but anyhow, I was asked yesterday by the good senator what the reason why she didn't like the word improper, because it was vague. But it is not vague because it is defined elsewhere in Wyoming Statute 31-5-2098I. So, which means a vehicle shall be driven as nearly as practical entirely within a single line and shall not be moved from the lane until the driver has first ascertained that the movement can be made with safety. So all we're trying to do by putting improper or erratic lane changes is to be able to consider that a serious traffic offense. It's a tool for our highway patrolmen to keep our lanes safe. I don't understand a pushback against that. I think we want to be able to give that tool to our highway patrolmen when they see erratic lane changes or improper lane changes, to be able to stop that person and cite him for that. To the second part of the amendment regarding handheld wireless, again, existing statute does not allow you to use a handheld wireless device. Now, I think that there was unfounded fear by the good senator who brought this amendment that it's going to take away her ability to use her mobile phone in a holder and do Google Maps. That's what I heard yesterday. That's not true, okay? Existing statute says, no person shall operate a motor vehicle on a public street, highway, while using a handheld electronic wireless communication device to write, send, or read text-based communications. This section shall not apply to persons who is using a handheld electronic wireless device when using voice-operated or hands-free technology. Okay, that's already in there. So the ability to put your phone in a cradle and use it hands-free is completely legal. What we're trying to do here is saying if you're using that handheld device in your hand, that is a safety violation. And we don't want folks to use that while they're driving, especially a CDL driver. So we're not attacking CDL drivers or CPL or the permit learners. All we're doing is trying to keep our roads safe. We want to be able to cite those people if they're using that, not as our good senator uses it, because I know she does it correctly. We're not trying to take any functionality away. So I would ask you to resist this amendment, both parts of it. I think that safety of our roads are important, and I don't believe it harms any of CDL drivers or permit holders.
Let's go to Senator Larson first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm on this amendment. I think it's a good amendment. I don't like the word improper. I guess it was kind of explained there, but you know, I don't know what that means. Does it mean you have to have your blinker on for so many seconds or so many feet before you can move from a different lane? Erratic sounds okay, and I have to push back. I don't think this is repealing line 11. I think it's still in there, erratic. I think the word improper is just going a little too far. And then also, we're getting rid of, in the amendment on page 3, line 16 through 20, where it says you can't use an electronic wireless communication device while you're driving. And that's pretty broad. I don't think it says that you have to have it in your hand or anything like that. I think it just says you can't use it. And I'm concerned you can't use it for when you're trying to go through the traffic with MapQuest or whatever. I just don't think you need it. The other thing is a serious violation. I think if you're in your personal vehicle and you get pulled over and you have a CDL, it goes against your record. And I think if you get, as far as I know, if you get 2 of those serious infractions, they can take your CDL away, even when you're in your personal vehicle. I mean, you're not even in a truck driving it. So I think this is going a little too far, and I would encourage an aye vote on the amendment.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kolb.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify, it does specify you're driving a commercial vehicle. And I do agree with the previous comment that I wouldn't want them applying to a person driving a pickup truck while possessing a CDL, because that is an issue for me about getting certain kind of citations. But this clearly exempts that and has to be driving a commercial vehicle in the process of driving a commercial vehicle, not just having a commercial motor vehicles license, CDL. So I think it is covered. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Rothwich, you've been standing. You're next.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not speaking for or against the amendment, but just to clarify the issue related to improper or erratic on line 11, the D, it would restore the original language. That is the construct of the amendment. So it does not delete erratic lane changes, the D provision. It would restore the original language, so it would eliminate the improper or, and then continue with the erratic lane changes as it was originally. It would have to be a strike language if you wanted to delete erratic lane changes. So the amendment does as it was originally described. It restores the original language on the D provision, line 11.
Thank you for that clarification. Who's next? Senator Larson for your second time.
Mr. President, I do have to apologize. It does say in there that you have to be driving a commercial vehicle on those, both of those, but I still am against that.
Okay. So anybody else for your second time? Senator Pappas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, there was one other question that the good senator from the Ivory Tower actually asked me yesterday that I told him I'd get some information on, and that's with the expungement provision. So if you'll, pardon?
Are we still on the amendment?
Oh, no.
Okay.
On the amendment, I'm sorry. I'll speak for my second time on the amendment.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how clear I could make it that driving on, the previous speaker just talked about MapQuest. I'm sorry for the name, but it was mentioned. That is not, you can use it if your phone is in a cradle. The idea here is if it's in your hand, it's safety violation. Drive using it in your hand and operating it, it's the safety violation. We're trying to make our road safe. So you can use it in a cradle as long as you're not touching the phone. So please understand that. And also understand that, as I mentioned, the improper lane change is already defined as the vehicle shall be driven nearly as practical entirely within the single lane and shall not be moved from the lane until the driver has ascertained that the movement can be made with safety. Obviously, that's going to be a decision by our highway patrol people. When they see we can't define that, okay, they moved out of the lane 30 seconds too early. How do we define something like that in statute? We have to give our highway patrol people discretion on when they can do this. And we have defined improper. So there's no reason why we don't put improper in here. On and against the amendment. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Anderson.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I'm having a hard time understanding. I heard somebody say that page 2, line 11, does not delete the erratic lane changes. And I think if we eliminate that entire line, it eliminates improper and erratic. So it looks to me like erratic is eliminated.
Let's go to Senator Rothfuss. You want to use your second time?
Thank you, Mr. President, just on that point, but it's not. When you eliminate language from a bill, you delete it from the bill, you don't delete it from the statute. So it's not a repealer. You would have to use the language strike if you wanted to actually eliminate it from the book, and then it would stay in the bill. So as we delete the D entirely out of the bill, it leaves it unchanged. For example, you don't see A, B, or C in the bill at this point because they are unchanged. This would be taking D out of the bill. It remains unchanged, so whatever's left in the green books is as it is in the green books, and that reads erratic lane changes. Yep.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak before the sponsor? All right, Senator Pearson, back to you for your second time.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm still standing on with this amendment. I don't like the word improper, and in this bill, this is talking about serious traffic violations, which means that you get 2 serious, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 serious traffic violations, whether you're driving your personal vehicle or the commercial vehicle. If you get a serious traffic violation in 3, I think it's 2 or 3 or more in 3 years, you lose your CDL. As far as the improper, I don't like it because I've been driving down the road and a deer has jumped out in the middle of the road. And yes, I was looking ahead, making sure that there was no traffic oncoming, and yes, I did swerve into the lane without the blinker, all of that, swerved into the other lane to miss the deer. Okay, so I just don't think that we should have that in there. As far as the handheld devices, I want something in writing. I want something in writing on that saying that these devices can be, you know, I don't want a highway patrol to see that device in the window and possibly pull me over saying you can't be using a handheld device, even though it's in the window. So it's just very, I want it in writing. Some sort of writing saying that we can use these handheld devices for MapQuest, whatever, listening to our music, and so that our drivers do not get pulled over for having those devices exposed and up where we can see them, so that we can be watching the road as well, and we're not down here trying to hide them, so that a police officer doesn't see it, and taking our eyes off the road, if that makes sense. So, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. We are voting on second reading amendment number 2 to House Bill 28. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. Motion has failed. We are back on the bill. Discussion on the bill. Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I just wanted to cover one other item that Senator from the Ivory Tower asked about, the expungement of records. As you know, we, if you look on page 5, lines 6 through 9, there's some additional language that says the expunged records relating to the suspension of a driver's license of a minor may be considered for purposes of disqualification from driving a commercial vehicle under the statute shown. Again, this is only for minors and minors that have a CDL. If you're under the age of 21, you're allowed to have a CDL. Of course, you can't drive interstate, you're only intrastate, so it's within the state. This allows for only the purposes of disqualification of your CDL to be able to look if you've had a DUI while you were underage, between 18 and 21. So the expungement for a normal driver's license for a youthful offender, it's expunged. And so when you violate that after you're 21, they don't look back. But if you had a CDL and you already have to have a CDL as a youthful offender, the language here will be able to look back from that 18 to 20-year-old period to see if you had a DUI, because the first major offense, there's 1 year disqualification. But a second major offense will disqualify you for a lifetime. They take it that seriously. So again, the reason for doing this is to keep our roads safe again. We don't want people who have CDLs who have had a history of DUIs. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope that helps the good senator.
Thank you. Discussion on the bill. Seeing none. House Bill 28 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 30, second reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 30 engrossed, driver's licenses and IDs revisions, sponsored by the House Transportation Committee.
Senator Hutchings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All week long, we've had the Team Pack people, kids here.
Oh, wait, can we hold on
If you
till
don't
I
mind for a quick
dispatch of this bill first?
I'll let you
Sorry.
dispatch it.
I thought you were objecting to the bill.
Nope.
Okay, House Bill 30, haven't been read two separate times, the question. Oh, Senator Pappas, busy day for you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just wanted to answer another question that was brought again by our good senator from Laramie County regarding the language. I forgot which page it's on, but the statute dealing with hazardous. It had an exception. Well, let me grab it real quick. So if you look on page 5, this is basically the list of items that will be used for a replacement license. And on page 5 at the top, it says, if you start on page 4 at the bottom, the department may issue a replacement license under this section without examination required under 31.7.114, except for a commercial driver's license with a hazardous material endorsement. And the question I had yesterday was, why are we excluding the hazardous material endorsement? So the statute is not intended to exclude CDL holders with hazardous material endorsements from obtaining a replacement license. Its intent is to say that the knowledge test required under 31.7.14 cannot be waived for the hazardous material endorsement. So it's only the waiver of the knowledge test. Because previous language, we waived the knowledge test for forgot what that federal program was. Basically, people who have military driver's licenses. Well, if you got a hazardous, if you're driving hazardous loads, that knowledge test cannot be waived. That's all that's saying. Thank you.
Discussion on the bill? Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I haven't brought up the question, Mr. President, on this, and I still don't find that compelling. This is about replacing your license. And what we're actually saying is now you've got to test again to get a replacement license, the way I read that, for this hazardous mat. And if I'm reading it wrong, I'll get some more clarification offline. But again, Section 118 of this bill is talking about current language, the replacement, lost, destroyed, withdraw, etc. So I don't still find that explanation compelling for the hazardous materials endorsement. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Discussion on the bill. Back to you, Senator Pappas, for your second time.
So what I was told is that it was a requirement by federal law, and that's why we're putting in there. The required knowledge test for hazardous materials must have been completed within 2 years of the date of issuance of the license. So I think that is why they're requiring the test again, but I certainly will follow that up. I'll have a follow-up with the department on that as well.
Thank you. Senator Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The chairman is correct. The exception is just for the commercial driver's license with a hazardous material endorsement. And that is because of federal law, because it is hazardous material. They can't just do it by mail. They have to go back and they have to come in and redo it, but it's only for those hazardous material endorsements, and it's because of the hazardous material that they have to do that per federal law.
Thank you. Further discussion on the bill? Anybody else? Okay. House Bill 30, haven't been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 41, second reading of the House Bill.
House Bill 41 engrossed, environmental quality irrevocable letters of credit, sponsored by Representative Lawley.
House Bill 41 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 61, second reading of the House bill.
House Bill 61 engrossed, State Land Lease Preference Amendment, sponsored by Representative Banks.
House Bill 61 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 69, second reading of the House bill.
House Bill 69, Foreign Adversary Ownership or Control of Business Entities, sponsored by the House Corporations Committee.
House Bill 69 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 73, second reading of the House bill.
House Bill 73, Recreation Safety Rock Climbing, sponsored by Representative Larson.
House Bill 73 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 75, second reading of the House bill.
House Bill 75, Coal Severance Tax Rate, sponsored by Representative Clauston.
House Bill 75 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 82, second reading of the House bill.
House Bill 82, Provider Enrollment Standards, sponsored by Labor Committee.
House Bill 82 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 92, second reading of the House bill.
House Bill 92, Wyoming Livestock Board Memorandums of Understanding, sponsored by the House Agriculture Committee.
House Bill 92 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Bills on third reading, final passage. Madam Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, I move the third reading consent list as follows. House Bill 23, Surrender Driver's License Repeal. House Bill 25, Vehicle Accident Reporting Amendments. House Bill 27, Disabled Parking Windshield Placards Revisions. House Bill 45, Removing Otters as Protected Animals. And House Bill 54, Chancery Court Judges District and Circuit Court Assistants.
Thank you, Madam. Would anybody like any of these bills removed from the consent list? Senator Hutchings.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to have House Bill 45 removed. Thank you.
Thank you. House Bill 45 has been removed from the consent list. Any others? Having been read three separate times, the question is, shall these bills pass the Senate? House Bill 23, Surrender Driver's License Repeal. House Bill 25, Vehicle Accident Reporting Amendments. House Bill 27, Disabled Parking Windshield Placards Revisions. And House Bill 54, Chancery Court Judges, District and Circuit Court Assistants. Will the Chief Clerk please call the roll?
On the consent list, Anderson. Barlow. Boner. Brennan. Case. Cooper. Crago. Crum. Dockstader. Driscoll. French. Guru. Hicks. Hutchings. Ide. Jones. Kolb. Landon. Larson. McEwen. Nethercott. Olson. Pappas. Pearson. Rothfuss. Salazar. Schuler. Scott. Smith. Steinmetz. President Beitman.
Aye.
On the consent list, 31 aye. House Bill 23, are there any changes? Scott? No? Hutchings? No? Closing vote? Closing. Vote closed. House Bill 23, 29 aye, 2 no. House Bill 25, are there any changes? Closing vote. closing, vote closed. House Bill 2531I. House Bill 27, are there any changes? Aye? Aye to no. Scott? No. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. House Bill 2729 aye, 2 no. And House Bill 54, are there any changes? Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. House Bill 54, 31 aye.
Having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the Senate, House Bill 23, Surrender Driver's License Repeal, House Bill 25, Vehicle Accident Reporting Amendments, House Bill 27, Disabled Parking Windshield Placards Revisions, and House Bill 54, Chancery Court Judges, District and Circuit Court Assistants have passed the Senate. Bills on third reading. House Bill 45, third reading of the Senate, or the House Bill.
House Bill 45, removing otters as protected animals, sponsored by Representative Byron, an act relating to game and fish.
Discussion on the bill. Senator Nethercott?
Mr. President, absent objection, I request that we lay this bill back one day.
Hearing no objection, House Bill 45 has been laid back for one day. Madam Majority Floor Leader, that does clear the desk.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate resolve itself into committee of the whole.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Let's call the freshman up here. Senator Smith. There you go. Have fun. All right.
The committee of the whole will come to order. You'll stand. Senator Hutchings. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I have privilege of the floor?
You may.
All right. I was going to say before the last group left, we have a group of teen-packed, I call them like light. They're younger kids that their parents from all over the state bring to the Capitol to learn about what we do firsthand. So I'd like you guys to give them a welcome to the Senate and their parents for all they do for their kids. Thank you. There you go. Thank you, sir.
All right. The first bill for our consideration is House Bill 166. Will the reading clerk read the bill?
House Bill 166, State Auditor Payment Transparency, an act related to the administration of the government, sponsored by Representative Bratton, was referred to Committee Number 2, which is a committee recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Senators Driscoll, Guru, Larson, Salazar, and Smith. Senator Salazar, Chairman.
Senator Salazar, you have heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure, sir? Oh. Got it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that when the Committee of the Whole rise to report it, do so with a recommendation that Senate File 166 do pass. And to explain that bill, Is Senator Boner? Senator Hutchings?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, but we'll do our best. This bill, House Bill 166, State Auditor Payment Transparency, is an act relating to the administration of government requiring that the state auditor provide the public with information on payments made to vendors as specified. And if we go through the bill, the real purpose of this is just to codify the terrific work that our state auditor is already doing today to provide transparency for the people through the website. On page 2, we have all that information there that we're trying to codify. Our state auditor testified on behalf of the bill and has put this amazing service out for the people of Wyoming. And with that, Mr. Chairman, very simple bill, just codifying into law, which she's already doing. I'd ask for your favorable vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hutchings. Is there any discussion? Senator Crago.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just for purposes of discussion, I wonder if the bringers of the bill could give us what the definition of vendor is and how that's, how that's defined in the statute.
Discussion, anybody? Senator Lyman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I guess just a little more discussion about this bill. And if we're already doing this and accomplishing this, I'm wondering why we need the bill. Does it do anything that is not being done now? Or does it step outside a line that isn't of any concern? I'm just interested in what the conversation was in committee or up through the ranks. That would be helpful. Thank you.
Senator Hutchings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, I was not there at the committee to hear all that went on. If someone was, they could answer the questions. I will find out about the vendor issue, define that for you. And as for the purpose of the bill, it is to codify the terrific work our auditor is already doing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Boner, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as far as the need goes, we're really grateful for our current state auditor, which was able to, as soon as she got in office, put this into practice. But of course, it wasn't always like that. In fact, there was some, I believe, some controversy with the previous auditors, whether this was even possible. So even though it's codifying current practice, I'd still like to point out that that is a legitimate function and an important decision for us to ensure that this continues to be the case. It's working well. I'd point out that this language has been closely coordinated with the state auditor. She feels comfortable, including the definition of vendor, but I'm sure we can get a more technical analysis of what that means. If there's implications that perhaps we haven't considered, we can definitely dig into that and get a good answer. But it is important, even if we're codifying current practice, to ensure that that practice continues. It's been very popular and very helpful for our citizens. So that's the reason for the bill.
Senator Ide.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look good up there. I'm on and for this bill. I think this gives a lot of transparency, open checkbook. Citizens can look online to see how we're spending our money. So on and for the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Grew.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, just to follow along with my good friend from the Natrona County. The auditor, when this system got instituted, as we recall during COVID, it was, everyone was watching this website because at that point there's a lot of aid money going out around the state to small businesses. And so folks were watching this and seeing how it all worked, and actually really kind of got into watching where the state's dollars were going, as he was saying. And so now it's kind of gotten a following around the state, and in regards to that transparency issue and having it go forward to whatever administration, and as things go forward, no matter who's in the office, that these practices keep going forward. This is a good piece of legislation that, like I say, just is going to keep a good project that's been instituted by our current auditor and keep it going. So on and for.
Senator Crago, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And one of the reasons I ask about the definition of vendor, any of you, if any of you have ever actually gone to the site, which I have, lots of times, just out of curiosity, you know, right now, for example, and I think the good senator just talked about, if you receive a grant, for example, during COVID, your name would have appeared on the site. But as the language in here says, for items furnished or services rendered, that would not include grants received, in my opinion. And so I guess as we move this thing forward, I think we need to be real careful about the language we use in here, because we may actually be limiting our state auditor. We may be taking away her ability to do what she's doing now. Instead of expanding it or codifying it, we might be making it worse. So just pointing that out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I think we're ready for the question. Madam Floor Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yeah, so I think it's been established here that I do think that the office that's affected by this is in full support, but I think they're just in full support of the intent. And maybe as a result of them not spending a lot of time doing lawmaking, maybe should take a second look at that language, as the good senator from Buffalo has identified. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, are we ready for the question? Okay. All those in favor of Senator Salazar's motion that the Committee of the Whole rise and report, and that it do so in a favorable recommendation of House Bill 166, say aye. All those opposed, say no. All right. House Bill 166 has passed the Committee of the Whole. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 93. Reading clerk, would you read the bill?
House Bill 93, Protect Wyoming Lands Acts, an act relating to corporations, partnerships, and associations, sponsored by the Agriculture Committee, was referred to Committee Number 5, which returned a committee recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Senators French, Ide, McEwen, and Pearson. Excuse, Senator Crago. Senator French, Chairman.
All right. Senator French, you've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the Committee of the Whole rises to report, it do so with the recommendation that House Bill 93 do pass, and for an explanation, I call on Senator Ide.
Senator Ide, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this is a bill that we worked on in committee in the interim. It's a good bill. I don't know if a lot of you remember, it was kind of a hot topic a year or so ago that these national natural asset companies, NACs they call them, it was a way effectively to lock out lands out west, primarily big open lands. As the senator, our U.S. senator was commenting on this morning, it could be detrimental to multiple use. It's big foreign agencies or foreign adversaries could get conservation leases and just take it, the land's totally out of production. So that's what this bill does, just in layman's terms. If you look at the bill, the title just says prohibiting natural asset companies from selling credits through the NEC or the National Securities Exchange, and that's basically what they were doing. The SEC was trying to put these so they could monetize, the ecosystems out here and sell carbon credits effectively is what this bill's all about, is to get away from that, so that can't happen. It's been on a national level, it's been temporarily abandoned. Our Congresswoman fought this pretty hard back in Washington and put it on ice effectively. So I think it's good for us to get this on the books so we can avoid that in the future if it comes back up. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Ide. Any further discussion? Senator Rothfuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I don't see how this isn't a violation, a direct violation of property rights. And again, I understand the intent, and when you think about it from the scary standpoint of a foreign adversary coming in and buying up all these assets, we talk about that a lot and concerns about that taking place. But this seems to go a lot further beyond just foreign adversaries. It talks about the fact that you have a property right to something, you have an asset, and that might be a credit. You might be building up a carbon credit, but that's a resource credit that you're engaged in a business practice to generate revenue from your property, from your land. You generate that asset from the land, and then according to standard practices, you might securitize that and you might trade it. Every one of those steps I just described, Mr. Chairman, is an aspect of individual property rights and ownership and the free capacity to transact business in a manner you see fit with the assets that you own. This bill seems just incredibly anti-property right as structured. I don't see how it's anything else, so I guess I need a little more understanding of what this bill does if I'm missing it, but it seems to tell a property owner that they cannot gain value from their assets in certain ways, and they cannot exchange those assets in certain ways, which would then, in my view, Mr. Chairman, effectively be a takings. So how is that not the case?
Thank you, Senator Rothfuss. Any further discussion? Oh, there we go. Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, so I'm just going to go to the language in the bill, and I want to make sure I understand it. This is page 3, lines 1 through 7, talks about the unlawful part of this. First of all, I don't see a penalty for doing this, so I'm not sure how unlawful something is if we don't actually have a consequence to that. But what I also see in this language on the top of page 3 is this is lands, this natural asset company can only have lands within Wyoming for this to be prohibited. So if a company has lands in multiple states, apparently it's not prohibited. So, and I see the language in the last sentence talking about lands outside, but go back to the definition of natural asset company, and it talks about both ownership and management responsibility for those things. So I'm interested how the nexus is. If it's a Wyoming-only company, only with Wyoming lands, I can see maybe this applies. But if they have other lands, I don't know how this applies, and I don't know what the penalty would be. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good questions. First to the good senator from the Ivory Tower. The property rights issue on this, on smaller private property, I think that it's probably not going to be as concerning. It's essentially these NACs, they could alter millions of acres out here of multiple use. And, I think this addresses more protecting property rights, especially when half of our state is, controlled from Washington, D.C. So, and then to the good senator from Campbell County, you're right. This is directly Wyoming specific on this, just to protect our multiple use lands in the state. I don't know if that answers them, but that's the best answer I can give you. Thank you.
Senator Scott, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, several points on this. One, with regard to the enforcement of it, you don't need a criminal penalty. You have the risk that a sale would be held invalid, and under that risk, people wouldn't be willing to buy it because they might not have bought anything. And you have the ability, as I understand, to enforce with an injunction if you're hurt by one of these things. So I don't think you need the criminal penalty. But I don't think this bill is very well drafted. And it looks to me like simply by owning land outside the state and bundling them together in one package, you can evade the provisions of this act. I think that's a real problem with this. And I also think that there is an element of an attack on private property rights. You might consider putting some kind of limit on for how long you can sell them, that sort of thing, because you may not want current generations to lock it up for future generations. That'd be a separate issue. But that's not present here. This just forbids it. And it does limit what a private landowner, Mr. Chairman, can do with their land. So I am having a little trouble with the bill on this score, Mr. Chairman.
We'll do Senator Driscoll, then Senator Rothfuss. Go ahead, Senator Driscoll.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I like the thought of it, but as a private property right owner, and we're seeing numbers of these. My family's owned our place 150 years, and it's all we have. That's the only assets we've got, and it's keeping the value of them. And I can tell you strongly, it should be up to me and my family to decide what we do to value or devalue our property in any way. I can look you in the eye and tell you that I've got conservation easements on part of my place. Good part of you guys that are running bills would love to tell me I can't do that. That's what private property rights are, is you own the property and it's up to you to do it. And every time you guys come in here, I say you guys, I'm talking about everybody, and take a shot to devalue my property, it's really a tough deal. The truth is exactly what this bill's trying to prevent. The exact same thing can happen is they just buy property and don't use it. So the harder you try to do it, the more it devalues. I'm looking at a good senator from the middle of the state. How would we feel if we said, well, you can't put wind turbines on your property, or you can't develop minerals? And I'm telling you, it's pretty offensive when you own a place and someone comes in and says, well, you've owned it forever, you've been a good steward of it, and now we're going to tell you what you can and can't do. And I understand zoning, and a good part of the different things that affect rights are what protect my neighbors. And I understand those. But the ones that just take away my rights, they're offensive and they're hard. There's a better way to do it. This is really a poorly drafted bill. I would suggest it come back and be thought out a little better, but it's not good the way it sits. And I will continue to stand and be somewhat angry every time someone tries to take away my ability to make a living for my kids and grandkids.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I think I heard in the presenter of the bill talking about multiple use. And that may be a term that we use for certain public lands, et cetera. That is certainly not what I have to use to describe my lands as, private lands as. I think a private landowner ought to be able to single use, multiple use, no use. So if the intent of this is concerning those public lands and those multiple uses and maybe that issue, then this can be better crafted. I'd be glad to have that conversation. But if it's broad and it includes lands such as the good senator that just spoke, are my lands, your lands, i.e. anyone in here's lands, I think that's different, and I have concerns about this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Hicks, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as a member of the committee that worked on this, I had concerns with the way this was drafted during the committee, and I thought it was overly broad. I understand what it's targeted at. What it was targeted at is, and the last administration, the BLM had promulgated what they call the public land rule that would allow third parties to come in and do conservation leases on public lands and then be able to monetize those leases for value. This doesn't necessarily address that issue. And so my concern was this really does cast a really broad net and some of the terminology, what's a conservation interest? Without a significant definition of this, I understand the intent. I think the intent was good, but I agree with many of my colleagues. I think this net's very broad, and it's going to have unintended consequences for those folks out there that really do believe in conservation on their own private property. So I'm on and against the bill.
Senator Ide, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good discussion, really. The private property is definitely an issue. And, we could potentially amend that out of this bill. The reason all of this came up, it was mostly, at least in my opinion, for nefarious reasons to shut down production on a lot of western lands out here that are public lands, federal public lands, and multiple use in particular, and that gave them an opportunity to monetize, those lands for taking them out of production effectively and starving us out here, essentially, is what could happen if the intents weren't right from some foreign adversary, and trying to protect against that. So I don't know if I agree with the comments on the private property. I think that the bill needs some work there, but maybe we could amend that in second reading and push it forward from there and see if we can perfect on it so we can protect half of our state at least. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Culp.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment. I do believe in the reason for the bill. I think I'm willing to let it get out of committee of the whole myself and get a chance to be amended. But if it isn't amended, it's I wouldn't support it at the end. But I'm certainly willing to have a further discussion about the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of Senator French's motion that when the committee of the whole rises, to report that it do so with favorable recommendation of House Bill 93, say aye. All those opposed, say no. No. The division, okay. Here we go. All those in favor, please rise. You can count me too. Okay. So there were 10 ayes. All those against, please rise. $20 noes. So pursuant to SR 65, having failed standing division vote, a roll call vote was required, and, reading the wrong script, looks like. House Bill 93, having failed the roll call vote, standing.
So I'm,
Huh?
just say the chief clerk.
Just say,
The chief clerk will call the roll.
the chief clerk will call the roll.
Committee of the whole roll call, House Bill 93, Anderson? No. Barlow? No. Boner? No. Brennan? No. Case? No. Cooper? No. Crago? No. Crum? No. Dockstetter? No. Driscoll? No. French? Aye. Garou? No. Hicks? No. Hutchings? Aye. Ide? Aye. Jones? No. Cole? Aye. Landon? No. Larson? Aye. McEwen? Aye. Nethercott? No. Olson? No. Pappas? No. Pearson? Aye. Rothfuss? No. Salazar? Aye. Schuler? No. Scott? No. Smith?
Aye.
Aye. Steinmetz? Aye. President Beitman? Aye. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. House Bill 93, 11 aye, 20 no.
All right, House Bill 93, having having failed, a roll call vote pursuant to SR 6SA is deemed indefinitely postponed. The next bill for our consideration, Madam Floor Leader. Oh.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Committee of the Whole beg leave to rise and sit again.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Adjourned. Mr. President. I'm going to leave.
Okay. Standing committee reports.
Mr. President, the following reports are dated February 14, 2025. Committee number 4, Education, to whom is referred House Bill 17, Career Technical Education Equipment Grants Amendments. Respectfully report same back to the Senate with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Senators Brennan, Olson, Rothfuss, Schuler, and Scott. Senator Schuler, Chairman. Committee number 4, Education, to whom is referred House Bill 316, engrossed. School Finance Model Recalibration 2. Respectfully report same back to the Senate with a recommendation that it do pass amended. Ayes, Senators Brennan, Olson, Rothfuss, Schuler, and Scott. Senator Schuler, Chairman.
Thank you, Randy. Senator Schuler, do you have a re-referral?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I do. I'm so glad you reminded me, you and the good senator here in front of me. I would like to request that House Bill 316 engrossed, School Finance Model Recalibration -2 be re-referred to the Appropriations Committee.
Thank you. Absent objection, House Bill 316 is re-referred to Committee number 2, Appropriations. All right. I think that clears the desk. Yes? Oh, Senator Barlow. What you got? All right, back to you, Madam Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we stand adjourned until 2 p.m. I'm sorry, recessed. I'm sorry.
2 p.m. on Tuesday? Is that what I heard?
Recessed until 2 p.m., Mr. President.
Okay, we tried. All right, announcements. Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, your committee number 10, Labor, Health, Social Services, will meet at 12:30 in room W110 to hear 2 bills. Senate House Bill 64, Chemical Abortions Ultrasound Requirement, House Bill 42, Regulation of Surgical Abortions. And if I could, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I'd also like to invite the Senate to join Wyoming 211 for lunch in room 5354. Ann Clement and her crew will be there. Please join them. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator French.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee number 5, Senate Ag, State Public Lands and Water Resources, will meet next Tuesday, February 18th, 8 a.m. in Capitol Extension Room 6 and online to discuss the following bills. House Bill 117, engrossed, the Omnibus Water Bill construction. House Bill 234, Second Amendment Financial Privacy Act amendments. And if time permits, House Bill 219, engrossed, county and municipal roads on state lands easements granted. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Over to you, Senator Landon.
Thank you, Mr. President. When we get back after a longer weekend, your Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, Cultural Resources Committee will meet Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., room 4 downstairs, to take up House Bill 5, engrossed, fishing outfitters and guides, registration of fishing boats, and House Bill 211, engrossed, hunting wildlife from vehicles. That's if time permits. And then looking out a little further, Mr. President, the bill that you read in this morning, House Bill 275, treatment of animals, we'll project that Thursday morning of next week. That is a bill that has a lot of interest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Senator Anderson.
Mr. President, your favorite committee, number 9, Senate Minerals, Business and Economic Development, will meet Friday, today, Valentine's Day, upon noon recess about 12:30 or a little after, in Capitol Extension Room W4, we will hear three bills, House Bill 264, Central Bank Digital Currencies Prohibitions, House Bill 214, Local Government Payments, Electronic Payments, and if time allows, House Bill 183 engrossed, net metering amendments that you may have heard about. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee number 3, Revenue, will meet at 12:30 to discuss House Bill 38, ad valorem taxation, payment and credit of penalties. House Bill 39, property tax refund program revisions. And if time permits, House Bill 40, sales and use tax revisions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Appropriations Committee will meet on Tuesday upon noon recess. We will be doing re-referrals, and I'll have a list before we adjourn this afternoon. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Transportation, Highways, Military Affairs Committee will meet next Tuesday morning in room W02 in the extension and online to consider two bills, House Bill 116, 116, driver's license, unauthorized alien restrictions, and House Bill 226, license plate research and rescue council. And also, if time permits, the new bill that was introduced today, House Bill 132, annual permits for special commercial loads.
Thank you. Any further announcements? All right, you all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Senate will stand at recess until 2 p.m.